Hello everybody, this is Deidre from Papercrafts and Planners. So a few days ago I went to Michael's. I needed something practical that I actually needed. They didn't have it. I ended up having to go to Walmart for it. But they have these new paper pads and I thought I'd show you the two that I thought were the nicest, cutest that I would use, actually is what it is. They're by Recollections, so they're 48 sheets. They're single-sided. Their new pricing, that's the Canada price. The new pricing is $9.99 in the US each. They had them buy one, get one 50% off. Since they've come down on the price, I doubt if they're going to do that buy one, get two free anymore, but we'll see. Okay, so let me do a flip through of these. There are 3 sheets of each design, and there are 16 different designs. So I'll just show you really quickly. This one has a lot of gold foil. And I'll flip kind of quickly here. I really love, I mean, this looks like a background you took a lot of time creating. And they've mixed in solids. So this is a pretty bright yellow. They have 3 pages of these tags, which will really come in handy. It's pretty green. So I love that they've mixed the solids in with these prints, because that makes them really usable for mats and things. Now, it's not heavy enough that I'd use for a card base. I wouldn't anyway. It's feels more like a 65 at most pound paper, but really pretty and so useful. And I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do with these. I might be using both at the same time because the colors coordinate nicely between these 2 packs. They're both spring designs. This one's called Spring Inks, and this one's called Into the Garden. So let me start on the back of this one. There are a couple prints in this one that I don't really care for. Okay, so this is a light yellow. It reminds me of close to my heart's shortbread color. These mushrooms, I'm not going to use them because they're going to my granddaughter. She's in love with this to decorate her room, so love all of these. But I love, like I said, that they're adding the solids because it's very usable. I'm not a huge fan of this print with the roses. I don't know, it just looks very old-fashioned to me, and there's another page that's even more so. This green has gold foil dots to it. There's a lot of gold foil throughout these collections. I love, love, love this one. So I discovered the other day when I was going through a paper pad that if you have the envelope maker by We Are Memory Keepers, the new Slimline one, it takes I think it's a 9 by 11.5 to make a large Slimline envelope, and then you end up with a 3-inch piece, which is the perfect for the front of a Slimline. The regular Slimlines that are usually 3.5 by 8.5 is the standard size for those. See, this I think is very old-fashioned, but I may be fussy cutting it. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that one. But so out of each piece, you could get an envelope and then some paper to cover the front, at least for one of the mats on the front of your Slimline card. So that's perfect to use up one sheet and just have a little scrap left over. So if these were double-sided, I'd be even more excited, but it's okay. Single-sided is good for 48 sheets in a pack for $9.99, and then one of them I received at 50% off. So let me get started. I'm going to get my card bases together, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. Okay, so I cut all the cut-aparts apart. So I ended up with 6. You get 6 of each of these. There's 2 on a sheet of each different design of these strips. And there are some really nice squares in all different sizes that are very usable. They can be stamped on. I think these are going to come in handy. And then here are all this more strip-like that I can put sentiments on. And some different squares and rectangles. And then these I'm going to put aside. So these said things like Home Sweet Home and Hello Spring or Welcome Spring. So I'm going to put these aside along with these journaling cards with my pocket scrapbooking supplies. And then I have pulled the solid colors apart from the others because I'm going to use these, I think, strictly with mats, or maybe I might punch some different designs out to put on the cards. But I'll be using these different than the printed ones. So that's to start. I've got my envelopes pulled out, and I'll come back and show you what we're going to do. So let me show you what I did with my first set of 12 cards, and we'll put one together and then I'll show you the rest of the set. So I came down and I sliced right at 5 1/4 and 5 1/4 again, leaving me a one strip of 1.5 inch, right? Then I took these two pieces and I cut them across at 4. So 4, so you're going to get 6 out of this sheet of 4 by 5 1/4 pieces, and then have a 1.5 inch strip at the bottom, which I cut up, and I'll show you what I did with that. Then, so I took 2 sheets of this because I made 12 cards. So I'm going to get 6 out of this, of these 4 by 5 1/4 pieces. Then I ended up needing 3 solids because you need these to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and obviously you're only going to get 4 out of this because this is a 12 by 12 sheet, so you don't get as much out of this. So I've got 4 out of each one, so I needed 3 sheets, and then I have some scraps left over, and I'll show you. I also used those. I cut them to 1 inch by 4 1/4, these strips, these scraps that were left. Let me show you. So you end up, I cut them like this, these strips that match this background. And then I kind of came through and took, because I used different color solids to go with this. And then I just went through and saw, okay, which of these backgrounds look better on which solid color. So that's how I decided what was going to go where. I just went and mixed and matched them. And I'll show you, I'm going to put, so this is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. And I'm going to put it down on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch solid. And then I had this strip that was 1 inch by 4 1/4, and I'm going to put it across the middle. I took and stamped, you need just small sentiments. This one is an old set from Fun Stamper's Journey, and some of their old sets are still available on the Spellbinder site, and I know a lot of them are being clearanced out now. So if I find it, I will let you know, because the sentiments are small enough, at least 3 of them, that they fit nicely where I needed them to on this strip. So I took this, for this one I took the Love You, and then I'm going to put it across the middle. Oops, I need to, I've got a clog here. Let me get a pin that's, never unclog your pin, your glue with these fancy things, because obviously the pins they use are much thinner than if you get a nice straight pin like that. And I don't want to ruin my beautiful little topper, so. Okay, so we're going to put this right there. Oh, I don't have this glue down, so we could take this. I'm just going to use my grid so I kind of make sure that I'm not getting this very crooked. I want it to go like that. And it should go all the way across if I've cut it correctly. Then I took, this is one of my favorite dies from Close to My Heart. And it does this little scallop circle. So I took the sheet that is all butterflies everywhere. Originally I thought I'm going to fussy cut these butterflies out and put them down. But the problem is there's not many that you could get a solid butterfly because they overlap so much. I did cut some of the gold ones out for decor, but I just decided I would use a pretty die to cut out just a whole little cluster of them. And then I fussy cut this gold one. We'll put it kind of up here in the corner, maybe going that way. Doesn't really matter. And then we'll put this down on the card base. And I have some scraps, and so what I've been doing, I'll show you with one of them how I've been decorating the inside with the scraps that are left over from each of these pieces that I've cut up. Now on this butterfly sheet, I pretty much used almost an entire sheet doing these die cuts and then fussy cutting out some butterflies. And then I had to actually come into a second sheet and die cut one of these. Okay, this is not quite fitting on this, which means user error. My card, I'm going to have to trim that down. My card was not exactly the right size for an A2 card. That sounds about right. I make my card bases, so sometimes it happens. Okay, so here's this one. Let me show you the rest that I did. So I used this Love You, I used the Missing You, and on this one, I'll show you how I'm going to decorate the inside. So I'm going to come back and do that. Fussy cut any butterflies I can, make a little banner with some leftovers, because this is what I have left over from cutting up the sheets. And some of these solids I'll probably die cut or do something with on some of the other cards I make. But here's, so I have 12 of these in the A2 size, and I think they turned out really cute. I was going to get some gold out of my stash to use to maybe punch some butterflies or something, but all of the gold I have, it just doesn't go with this. My gold is more of a brush, not a very shiny one, and so this, it just didn't look good with this. But here's all 12 of the cards I made with this design. So when I was doing the flip through and I saw this paper that had just decor around the bottom and not as much as the top, with the little, it does have some little gold dots going up a little bit. I knew what I wanted to do with it, because when you have this envelope punch board, it says the envelopes for a slimline card, you need a piece that's 9 by 11.5. So that meant I'd end up with this 3-inch strip over here. So I cut this 3-inch strip down to 8 inches. I had a little square left over, and I'll show you, I took and punched with this Martha Stewart punch a butterfly, and I'll show you how we're going to use those. And then I took a solid sheet of purple, and I was able to get out of one for enough for 3 cards a backing. So I cut these at 3 1/4 by 8 1/4, so they'll go nicely behind here as just a mat. And then the square that was left over at the top of each of these, again, I took that butterfly punch and punched a butterfly out, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. So I have these 2 pieces. Here's my base, my slimline card. The way I cut my slimline cards, and I know there are different sizes that people do, but mine are 7 by 8.5, and then I score it 3.5. So I have 3.5 by 8.5. So then this is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4, and this is 3 by 8. And then here's some butterflies I have. This is one of the cut apart strips. I just stamped Happy Mother's Day. I used an older set from Close to My Heart that has a lot of sentiments on it, but hopefully you have a similar set that has just a lot of different sentiments, and you can pick what you want to go there. But my mother likes butterflies, purple, so this is perfect for her. Okay, so let's cut this piece up for our envelope. So you can do this 2 different ways. You can have a flap at the top. You can turn it, have a flap at the side. So let's go ahead and we'll decide how we want to do this one. I'll show you how I did the other 2 that I've already cut, because there are 3 pages, remember, of each design. So I'm making 3 of these cards with matching envelopes. So we're going to score like this. And if you've never seen this envelope punch, or the slimline punch board, I think they call it, because you can also score your slimline card stock if you want for your slimline card bases. I have a video where I used it for the first time and show you how to use it, and so I will link that below if you want to see how that works. Now some paper, it gets a little ragged, and I'm not sure if it's the stuff with the white core or what, but I know some paper, some lighter weight paper, cuts a lot more smoothly than some of the others. But anyway, it's still fine. Sometimes I just trim around it a little bit with some detail shears if I don't like the look of it. Now I usually start in the middle and go up and start this way. I think it's a little smoother. Sometimes it can catch up here on some of these papers. Oops. Well, it would have been good if I had scored that, but that's okay. We'll do it over here, and I'll have to put that back in. This is what happens when you talk and craft. You forget what you're doing. Okay, let's score this one for sure. So right there, oh, let me take this out. It'll be a little easier to see for you. So there's the line right there, and then here's the line here, and I'm going to flip this back over to and line it up so I can get this line here down and over. Okay, so let's put this to the side and put our envelope together and then our card together. So I'm just going to fold here. Now you could do this, and I did it on one of them, where it's white to the outside, and then when you open it, which I think is really cute also, and then when you open it, you get that sort of surprise that the inside of the envelope is decorated. So it would look, you know, it would go like this, and when you open it up, you see all of that. But it's just so pretty that I didn't want to do that for all of them. Okay, let's do like this and like this. That's really pretty. And then we will fold these in. So you just need a little bit of score tape on here and here. I think this is how we're going to do this one. Yeah, I like that. And then you have this on this side. You can put your postage there and all that. So let's put these pieces down. This will also do mini slimline envelopes, which we may do with some of these. But it doesn't make, the usage of a 12 by 12 sheet is not quite as good, because obviously you're going to get a lot more left over with it. Oh, where's my, there it is, 2-in-1. This thing does come in handy. Okay, I'm going to seal this up. And then when I'm ready to address it or whatever, I will put another, just a strip of this double-sided tape to seal down the envelope. And then your card's going to go inside. Okay, so let me put this one aside. You'll notice one, so I've got these little pieces. I have no problem throwing these away. Hopefully you don't. These are kind of small, though there is a bumblebee there. Okay, I'm going to throw it away. Convince myself. But I'm going to fussy cut this out because we're going to decorate the inside of the card with this flower and some of the butterflies that I punched. I just think it's nice to have something inside the card. So just quickly cut around this. And it doesn't matter if one side's not cut accurately because the whole flower is not going to show. I'll show you in a minute how we're going to do that. And then I'm going to throw that away. Okay, so we're going to attach these two pieces. This again is 3 by 8 on a 3 1/4 by 8 1/4 inch piece. There we go. I'm going to put it on the card base. So there'll be a little 1/4 of an inch around it also. And then I have this that I've stamped the Happy Mother's Day on. I'm going to put it up above the bee, but I suppose you could put it down here if you wanted. I just didn't want it to cover anything pretty up. So we're going to put it right about there. And then I'm going to take one of the dark purple. Now, after I punch these, I put them in a box that I keep in my craft room, an old box. And then I use this splash or splatter. I'm not sure. It's Fun Stamper's Journey. They call it silk. But it basically, it has a fingernail polish end on it, and you flick the glittery stuff on here, and I have it in all different colors, and I just used the clear on these butterflies just to give them a little bit of bling, and I might put some more on there with a glitter brush. And then I think I'm going to put this one down here, this lighter purple. And again, these were all scraps that I cut these out of from making the last cards and these. And then I'm going to take my little shimmer brush, and I'm going to go over the insides of some of those, and then the wings on that bee, and then maybe the center piece of these butterflies. I think that's cute. Okay, on the inside, what we're going to do is take this flower, and we're going to put it right down in here. And it's going to be hanging off, and then I'm going to trim the excess off. I just think it looks more interesting like that. I'm going to just trim these pieces off. So, and then we'll just pick a couple of butterflies, maybe a blue and a purple. Looks like I have an extra butterfly. And I'm not adhering these butterflies all the way down. I'm just doing the insides, their body part there, not the wings. Put that one like that. And there we go. It'll fit inside this envelope. And here are the other two I did. And I did the envelopes different on each of these. So this one I did like that, which I think is really pretty. And it will go in here. And then this one, I think it's pretty too. So you have a sort of a white envelope, though you can see the gold flecks, and you can feel them too. And then the card goes right in here. I think any way you want to do the envelopes, it's really pretty. So there are 3 Slimline cards and matching envelopes from 3 of the sheets from the paper pack. Okay, so I made some mini Slimlines. I have to be careful because these are still a little tacky. But this is just one of the cut-aparts. I trimmed it down a little bit more, so it's just mostly gold around the edges rather than more of this watercolor looking. You know, I didn't want it on top of the same thing. But anyway, so I cut around so it's just gold there. I punched out another butterfly. This Martha Stewart punch has not seen this much action in years. And then I went over the butterflies with my shimmer pin. I just thought give them as much shimmer as I could. And then I used these Nuvo drops, and this is glitter drops in Gold Coast. and I just kind of made a pattern down like this. And then I did on the inside a little piece that's also the watercolor but doesn't have as much of the print on it. And so I took a 12 by 12 sheet and I cut a 3-inch line. Let me show you one so I can demonstrate. So I cut a 3 by 12 off one side and then a 3-inch off what was left down here also of the 12 by 12. And so that left me with a 9 by 9, and that is the size for the mini Slimline envelopes with that envelope punch board. You make them exactly the same as what I just showed you for the larger one, but it's just a 9 by 9 instead of a 9 by 11.5. And then that left me enough to do 3 card fronts for each one. So what I did is I did the 3 cards, and then I had these extra pieces that didn't have quite as much of the design on them, and I used them for inside the card. Okay, so I made 3 envelopes and 3 cards, and I think they're just cute with the little butterfly there. You put them aside carefully. This hello is from that same stamp set I showed you earlier, from Close to My Heart. It's one of the older ones, and it just has a lot of sentiments on it. But whatever sentiment you have that would fit on that strip nicely, use that. And then I made a few other 3 by 3, or not 3 by 3, 6 1/4 by 3 1/4 size. So when I make the Slimlines, let me show you. I take a piece that is 6 1/4 by 6 1/2. I score it at 3 1/4 on the 6 1/2 inch side and fold it over, and that gives you 3 1/4 by 6 1/4, which I think is a great mini Slimline size. On this one, I had some more of the watercolor, obviously, because you end up with a lot more card fronts than you do envelopes doing it this way. So I took 2 punches that I have. This one is a 2.5 inch scallop punch. This one is a 2-inch circle punch. And then, of course, the butterfly I used again. And I just think these turned out super cute. I'm in love with this design. I'm probably going to do it over and over. The stamp set is an older Fun Stamper's Journey. I did not find what they still have, that they still have the English language one, but the Todo el Año, they still had the Spanish one there, and it's super cheap. They've got all of these old Fun Stamper's Journey stamp sets on Spellbinders, and they have them clearancing. So, and they're red rubber. They look like, you know, they're the nice red rubber, which are really hard to find. So I will link to that particular one if you want to do. So I did 3 of these, and here's the difference in the Spanish and the English, what they look like. But I did 3 of these, and I'm going to donate these to a nursing home, I think, so I may go through and make a whole bunch more, but with one of the other pattern papers. And this green and pink together, I am really in love with. So I'm going to go through and make some more of these. I need to come up with some designs for like 5 by 6 1/2 or 5 by 7 size cards for some of those bigger cut aparts. So I'm going to work on that, and I'll come back and show you what I got accomplished. Okay, so I went through, like I said, and did more Mother's Day cards, a mixture of English and Spanish, and I have 33 of those. And you can see it's just simple, the scallop punch, the circle punch, stamped it, did a butterfly on each one, and I just mixed and matched the colors that I thought looked good together. So I have 33 of those. I have, oh gosh, maybe 40 of these. They said they also need happy birthday and just general sentiment. So these are just card fronts right now. I need to put them on card bases because I ran out. But you can see I just went through cutting apart the little butterflies, punching some of the flowers out and adding them and using some of these strips and just stamping. I'll show you the stamps that I ended up using for a lot of this here in a minute. It's a new one to me, It's from Waffle Flower, and it comes with the die. Some of these I left the sentiments off because I thought, well, maybe they need a card for something and I might not know what it is. But there was about 40 of these. This die is a little hooray die, and it is from Spellbinders. It was the freebie when I placed my last scrapbook.com order. Always make sure you include the freebie. Okay, so here's how they look when you die cut them, this stamp set. So it looks like this. Is from Waffle Flower. It's called Elegant Sentiments, I think it's called. Let's see what it's called here. I think that's what it's called. I will link to it though, but it has a die for each of the sentiments. It's got a sympathy, a thank you, congratulations, happy birthday, you are loved, and thinking of you. And I have some extras. I just went through and did a bunch of them. So you could see I used some of the cut aparts. I did some punching. I did some die cutting, nothing fancy. I wanted to make sure that I used all the cut aparts, and so I stamped on them. And again, I just went through my stamps and pulled out ones that were the right size for this. And if any of them are available, I will link to them. And then some more butterflies. You get the idea. I just went through, I took that die with sympathy. But yeah, I have about 40 of these that I'm going to be donating with all different sentiments on them. And then I have some 5x7s that I just used the cut apart. And I think I was able to get 3 of the card fronts from it and then use these cut apart pieces. And I fussy cut some more butterflies. And that is the scrapbook.com thank you stamp set that I love so much. I use it all the time. And then I just did different sentiments, but I had these cut aparts were so big they really needed a big card. And then I have all of these. There's another 30 some of these card fronts that are the mini Slimline. I had all these little cut aparts I wanted to use and all of this paper. Just so much I was able to get out of this paper pack, and I still have stuff left over. I also thought, here's just a thank you one. I also thought it would be nice to send some bookmarks along. So there is a lady, Jenny at Jenny Card Designs, and she has a YouTube channel, of course, and probably an Instagram. And I follow her. She's got a series called Chop It Up, and where she talks about all the things you can do with your 12x12 paper pads, and she does bookmarks and tags and all sorts of things. So I decided to make some bookmarks. These are just 2-inch strips, 12 inches long. I folded them in half, glued them together, and then I put them through, punched the top of them with my tag punch. Then I'm just going to put some twine in here, and then these are really pretty bookmarks. I may go through and make some more bookmarks, but I still have about 4 or 5 of, no, more than that, 7 full-size sheets, and then about 10 solid color sheets, and then of course those mushrooms I'm giving my granddaughter. And I have some pieces that I'm going to decorate the insides of the cards with, and I have some more sentiment. So I may continue with this, but right now I really needed to clear my desk and move on to something else. So I'll put these away and work on them another day, or if they tell me they need more of any certain type of card at the nursing home, I can come back and do those really easily. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Happy crafting.